So, the other big thing we have to talk about, there are a couple other big things we have to talk about, but most importantly, Destiny news.
Oh my god, Destiny.
So much Destiny news. A little context. So, earlier this week, the magazine Game Informer, which is...
I thought you were going to be like, a little context. So, Kirk and I really like Destiny.
I think if you listen to Splitscreen, you know that.
What was the commenter said? I'm excited for the Destiny podcast, Kotaku Splitscreen, to get back on topic this week.
If you are listening, if this is your first episode of Splitscreen, you should know that we are fans of the video game Destiny, which is a video game where players travel through space and talk about the video game Destiny and how much they hate it.
Yes.
And we enjoy Destiny, so it was very exciting to see that this month's issue of Game Informer, which is GameStop's magazine, is the cover story is Destiny's new expansion, Rise of Iron, and so they went out to Bungie and they got all this blowout of information about the game, which is really cool. I haven't had a chance to read the article yet because I had a whole issue in my Game Informer subscription yesterday that I won't get into, but a lot of people have pulled out all the interesting info. You want a couple of summaries? You read it, right?
Yeah,
you read some summaries.
Well, Game Informer themselves summarized a lot of it.
Yeah, they summarized some of the stuff. The big stuff is, so there's a light level increase. New raid is called Wrath of the Machine. It sounds really cool. There are a lot of new cosmetic stuff. There's a new PvP mode. They hinted at custom matches, which I think is going to get announced at Gamescom. Custom private matchmaking in PvP. They are bringing back some old strikes. They're bringing back Thorn. They're bringing back the Sparrow Racing League, the Festival of Light. And then one of the coolest things, I think, is this whole new artifact system, which is, so when the Taken King came out last year, they added a new slot on your character for artifacts, but artifacts kind of sucked. There was nothing interesting about them. They were just like, you equip one and it might boost your rep gains or your resources or something like that, something stupid. And now, instead of doing that, they added 8 new artifacts to the game. You can wear them no matter what your class is, and they all have these crazy abilities. So, like, one of them lets you removes the sprint cooldown, which is silly, because everyone thought that was a bug.
Yeah,
anyway.
I saw people say, a commenter thinking you were kidding. Saying, "Oh, I know that's a joke, but that would actually be nice." And he said, "No, I'm serious. That's really what one of them does."
It's for real. One of them lets you melee an enemy to make them your ally temporarily, which I assume is just like a brainwashing thing where you hit an enemy like Fallen or whatever, and they start attacking opponents, which is awesome.
Yeah.
One of them is this is crazy. This one is crazy. You lose your super, but you gain an extra grenade and melee and a boost to all stats. And I don't know if that's in addition to the 2 grenade perk that you can get if you're like a warlock or something else. Or
right.
I don't know.
Usually
what other
grenade things don't stack, but
they don't. Okay.
Usually they don't, just because I don't think there's a way to get 3 grenades on any class. So I would be surprised if it's stacked, but that would be amazing. That's the sort of thing where a Sunsinger warlock could really shred. Anyway, we'll talk about all this stuff. Keep going. Keep
so
the
there are a couple more. I mean, I don't have to read them all. You can find them, either get the Game Informer article or if you go on the Destiny subreddit, there's a big mega thread that like summarizes everything. We didn't want to summarize everything on Kotaku because it feels kind of shitty to steal all of Game Informer's information, and I hate it when people do that to my stories that I break, so I won't do it to them. But there are a lot of cool abilities. One of them is like your sword can reflect projectiles. One of them is you have a detailed radar at all times. And the cool thing, I mean, these are all like exotic tier abilities, but they're not exotic, so you'll be wearing them in addition to whatever else you have. And they're all transferable no matter what class. They're class agnostic, so no matter what class you have, you can wear them. It seems like people are going to be able to put together some crazy builds. And what I hope is that, I mean, I'm sure that for Trials of Osiris and PvP, people will be like, oh, this is the best build. But my hope is that they're actually well balanced enough that you can try new combinations, and like maybe a team will work better if one person has the one where you lose your super, and one other person has detailed radar, and one person has the ability to highlight guardians with full super in yellow, which is another one. I think for that one you see if you're in PvP, you see an opponent with a full super in yellow, and you see an opponent with low health in red, which is crazy. Imagine like we're playing trials with a team of 3 and one person has that and can call out.
And so I'm wondering if you see, because you can see someone's health when you ping them, so I'm wondering do you see them all the time, or you only see them when they're close?
No, it wouldn't be. It would be highlight them. So you're... Wait, what do you mean when you see them all you see the health all the time?
Yeah, you see someone's health. Like, when you're about to kill somebody in Crucible, you watch their health go down.
Well, I mean, I guess if they're running away, then you would be able to track them down.
You just would get a little more information without having to hit them and see their health bar.
No, it's not that. It would be that suddenly they turn red, so if they try to duck and avoid you, you know exactly where they are.
Right.
That's
like
what
it
I'm
would
assuming
it would highlight them and let
it's
you
like
hunt
tagging
them down.
them. Yeah, exactly. So that's really helpful if you have like a combination of artifacts on your team. So it seems like there's room for a lot of cool stuff. It also seems I think I saw someone say that there are only going to be 5 story missions. I assume that's in addition to like quests or whatever else, but it seems like it's going to be a short story, which doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is the gameplay stuff and the raid and PvP. Because it's not like this story. I mean, we'll play through it once or twice maybe, and then be done with it for the rest of the year.
Right. I have a lot of thoughts about all of this stuff. I'm the artifact thing, I guess, is the most interesting thing to me. I guess that's obvious that it's the most interesting thing to a lot of people. I'm glad they're doing something like that, only because I'd been thinking about Rise of Iron just generally and comparing it to, imagining what it will be like compared to The Taken King. And definitely one of the coolest things about The Taken King was the fact that we got new subclasses. And it's easy to forget about that now because I'm so familiar with those subclasses, and I'm so sick of like Hammer Bros and Shade Step and all of that I don't even think of them as new anymore. But I remember when it came out feeling like this was a new game, especially I remember the Hunter class. There was all this crazy shit. I just remember seeing the radar for the first time, the enhanced radar. It just really felt like, oh wow, these are really different. And
do you think the artifacts will capture that feeling?
No, I'm actually kind of skeptical.
Okay.
I think they'll be cool. I get what they're saying. Like they've said, they'll sort of also pair well with new exotics and other sort of items to create unique builds that do really cool things. I'm looking at those abilities, the things that they list. Some of them sound really cool. The idea that you can punch somebody and get them to be on your team is awesome. I mean, if that really works, I guess I saw somewhere that it's just a chance that happens, so it's not a 100% thing.
Well, otherwise that would be crazy.
That would be amazing.
Because you can melee anyone. Like, there's no recharge on melee.
When you think about certain encounters where there's one big enemy and several smaller ones, and you punch the big enemy and then it's on your side. That's a really cool idea. Also, actually, this relates to a question that we got last week. Some of the stuff that I'm hearing now that I went and watched the video and read about this actually does sound like stuff that may well be enabled by the fact that they're on current gen only and they're not on last gen. Like, because punching an enemy and having them suddenly be on your side, that's the kind of thing that requires memory, and that that I could see them saying, okay, well, now we have the overhead to be able to make this work, to have the AI be able to take control of that one Minotaur that you punched and then have it turn and and be able to handle that. So that's cool. That sounds like a kind of next level ability, because I think that there aren't any abilities in Destiny where you can affect the AI. Is that accurate?
You can blind them.
Right,
I get that affects the AI.
That's really just kind of puts them all into like the same,
into a staggered state. Yeah.
Because I don't think there's ever been a way to do that before, to get enemies fighting on your side, even though there have been times where the Fallen and the Hive will be fighting each other or something.
Right. I mean, I don't think this is actually going to affect the only way it'll affect their AI is it'll flip some switch from them trying to attack you to trying to attack other enemies.
Right, but then the other enemies have to also identify them as a hostile. It's the kind of thing that would probably be hard to do on a system with less memory. So I'm curious, that mechanic alone is so different than everything else, really everything else described in any of this. It makes me wonder about the raid, because it makes me think, okay, if they did this for this one item, well, is the raid going to have this kind of stuff in it? Which would be super cool if there's a whole challenge that revolves around manipulating the AI and getting them to do, things.
So one thing that's really interesting, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, is that Rise of Iron has been in development since January, and people have been following like my reporting on the game and Kotaku in general know that in January is when they made a bunch of big decisions. They decided Destiny 2 is no longer coming out in 2016. It'll be bumped to the fall of 2017. So instead, we're going to turn the live team, which was the team that made all the Power Racing League and the Festival of Light and stuff like that, into the DLC team, which is one of the reasons we hadn't gotten new quests and stuff like that, because they were working on Rise of Iron. So they've been working on Rise of Iron since January, but the new raid has been in development since last summer, and they were actually originally going to release it in April, I believe. So this raid it's spent a lot of time in the oven, which means they had a lot of time to polish stuff and make it really cool and do really interesting things to it. So I'm pretty excited for that. I think that'll be really cool to check out. It's been in development for I guess around a year, which is really cool.
Man, I'm psyched. I'm just psyched that that it's a fallen raid and we're not gonna have to just get a bunch more fucking hive gear, just gross looking exoskeletons and flesh covered guns.
There's a lot of cool looking gear.
The pictures that I saw all looked cool.
The Iron Lord gear is all really cool looking.
Yeah, they showed an animation of someone using the hammer as well, or the axe. I guess it's an axe.
Yeah, it's an axe.
Looks pretty cool. There's a big.
It does look.
AoE attack you can do. It looks kind of like a sword, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably similar to the sword, and. In the video, Game Informer has a video up on there. They're doing like a whole drip feed of content. It is what it is. It's sort of PRE, but it is what it is. It's their prerogative. But they're doing the whole drip feed of like PR content, and they've been showing videos. And they just put up a video of a couple of the developers talking and showing a bunch of new footage. The coolest stuff I thought was the new social space. Did you see that?
Yeah, like you have to conquer it and clear it out.
Yeah, so you climb up this big ass mountain, and then you get to the top and you conquer the social space, and then it looked awesome. There were like these Iron Lord statues and wolves running around. Did you see the wolves? There, you're gonna get to hang out with wolves.
Of course, I saw the wolves. I'm so excited about the wolves.
I knew you would be excited about that.
Well, here's my question: if you punch a wolf, will the wolf join your team and fight for you?
I don't think the wolves are bad guys. I think they're part of the social space.
Man, I just really want a wolf to cruise alongside me like in Diablo, and just to fight with a wolf that runs out and picks up engrams
Destiny 2.
Yeah, that would be
Destiny
nice.
2.
I like the idea that each artifact that you get, you go and you light a torch underneath that statue of the Iron Lord, and so then you've got this kind of, your space reflects your stuff, even though after a couple of weeks all of our social spaces are going to have all the torches lit.
Did they say, so there are 8 big statues and 1 for each artifact. Did they say if something actually happens when you get all 8?
I have no idea. You get Gallarhorn? You get Thorn? I don't know.
Maybe.
I bet you get something. You probably get like an exotic gun. I saw there's an exotic gun that it's variable, that can be an auto rifle or a pulse rifle or a scout rifle.
Oh, and you can switch it?
Yeah, and you can toggle the fire rate, which I think is really interesting. Cool. Yeah, I think that's a cool idea.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, so it makes you wonder, like, remember when Murmur came out and everyone was like, oh, cool, guns can do this, and then nothing like that ever happened again?
Yeah, I just got a Murmur. Were you there? We were playing over the weekend. Yeah, and I leveled up or got something from Eris Morn. I think I finished a quest really randomly, and I'm like, oh, Eris Morn wants something. I go and talk to her, and she gives me a 100 light Murmur.